Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun!
As the dawn light pierced the bedroom, it illuminated a scene of disarray. The sun's rays, slinking through the partially shut blinds, etched delicate lines on the crumpled bed sheets where a figure stirred. The sound of an alarm shattered the tranquility, prompting a groan from under the covers. Amidst the chaos, a hand emerged, desperately trying to silence the persistent beeping. "Time's up!" announced a playful voice from the threshold. The blanket was retracted, exposing a man, his face marked by creases from the pillow and his blonde hair standing every which way. He focused sleepily on the woman before him, observing her beaming at him, triumph radiating from her eyes while she clutched a compact bag in anticipation. The Patriots lost by 12 points, just like I said they would. She unzipped the bag, revealing an array of bottles, tubes, and compacts. 1 month of makeup. Those were the terms. Colby sat up, running his fingers through his hair. Nobody actually follows through on these things. Well, I do. Emily was already uncapping a bottle of foundation. Besides, you were so confident. Brady's got at least 5 more good years in him, you said. Easiest bet of my life, you said. That was before the injury, Colby muttered, but he knew he had no real argument. They'd shaken on it, and Emily had witnessed his smugness firsthand when he'd agreed to her terms. Just keep it minimal, okay? I still have to show my face at work. Emily nodded, squeezing a dollop of beige liquid onto the back of her hand. Trust me, it'll be our little secret. She leaned forward, dabbing the cool foundation onto his forehead. Nobody will even notice if we do it right. Colby closed his eyes, surrendering to the gentle pressure of her fingertips as she blended the makeup across his face. It felt strange, cool and slightly heavy, but not entirely unpleasant. There, Emily said after a few minutes. Foundation done. Just a touch of mascara and some lip color, and you'll be all set. Colby's eyes flew open. Mascara? Lipstick? Come on. The bet was makeup, not just foundation. She held up a mascara wand. Keep still and look up. With a heavy sigh, Colby complied. The mascara felt weird, making his eyelashes feel heavier than usual. The soft pink lipstick that followed was worse, slick and foreign on his lips. Don't press them together too hard, Emily instructed. Just like this. She demonstrated a gentle press of her own lips. When she finally handed him a mirror, Colby braced himself. The reflection wasn't as shocking as he'd feared. His skin looked smoother, more even-toned. The mascara was subtle but definitely made his eyes stand out more. The lipstick was a soft pink that could almost pass for tinted lip balm. See? Not so bad. Emily pecked him on the cheek. You actually look good. Very natural. Whatever. Just remember, 1 month, and then never again. Colby set the mirror down and headed for the shower, trying to ignore the unfamiliar sensation of the makeup on his face. The first day at work passed without incident. If any of his colleagues noticed anything different, they didn't mention it. By lunchtime, Colby had almost forgotten about the makeup entirely until he caught a glimpse of himself in the restroom mirror. The sight momentarily startled him. His eyes looked bigger, his features somehow softer. Not necessarily worse, just different. By the end of the first week, the morning makeup routine had become less awkward. Emily had gotten efficient at applying everything, and Colby had stopped flinching when the mascara wand approached his eyes. You know, Emily said on the 8th morning, as she brushed a hint of blush across his cheekbones. "You're really pulling this off. Your bone structure is kind of perfect for makeup." Colby rolled his eyes, but there was less irritation behind the gesture than there had been a week ago. "Lucky me." "I mean it," she continued, stepping back to admire her work. "Some women would kill for your cheekbones and jawline." That comment lingered with him throughout the day. He found himself studying his reflection more often, noting how the subtle makeup emphasized certain features. His blonde hair, usually cut in a conventional short style, seemed to frame his face differently somehow. By the middle of the second week, Colby had begun to notice small changes in how people interacted with him. The receptionist at work smiled at him more warmly. A client he'd been trying to build rapport with for months suddenly seemed more at ease during their meeting. "I don't know what's different about you lately," his boss commented after Colby successfully closed a deal they'd been working on for weeks. "But keep it up. You seem more approachable." That night, after Emily had fallen asleep, Colby found himself in the bathroom, staring at his clean face. The makeup had been washed off hours ago, but he could still envision how it had looked. On impulse, he opened Emily's makeup drawer and pulled out the foundation they'd been using. His attempts to apply it himself were clumsy at best. The coverage was uneven, and he used far too much. The mascara was a disaster. He blinked reflexively every time the wand came close, resulting in black smudges above and below his eyes. The lipstick went outside the lines of his lips in several places. "What are you doing?" Colby jumped, nearly dropping the lipstick. Emily stood in the doorway, her expression curious rather than mocking. I wanted to see if I could do it myself." He grabbed a washcloth, ready to scrub the mess off his face. "Obviously, I can't." "Wait!" Emily took the cloth from his hand. "Let me help you." She dampened the washcloth and gently wiped away the worst of his amateur application. Then, with patient instruction, she guided him through the process properly. "Foundation goes on thin, blend outward. Hold the mascara wand like this, look up, and brush upward. For lipstick, start with the center of your lips and work outward." When they finished, the face looking back from the mirror was transformed. Not dramatically, but noticeably. His skin glowed. His blue eyes seemed deeper, framed by darkened lashes. His lips were a soft rose color that complemented his fair complexion. "There," Emily said, meeting his eyes in the mirror. "What do you think?" Colby studied his reflection, unsure how to articulate the strange mix of feelings rising in his chest. I don't hate it." Emily smiled, resting her chin on his shoulder. "High praise indeed." By the beginning of the third week, Colby had started watching makeup tutorials at night on his phone. Simple ones at first, basic foundation application, mascara tips, but gradually more advanced, contouring, highlighting, eyeshadow techniques. He created a private shopping account and ordered a small makeup bag with a few essential items, products in shades that matched his skin tone better than Emily's. When the package arrived, he hid it in his gym bag, not quite ready to admit to his growing interest. One evening, while Emily worked late, he experimented with a slightly bolder look. The foundation was the same, but he added a subtle contour beneath his cheekbones and a hint of gold eyeshadow. The result was still natural but enhanced in a way that made his heart beat faster. He was washing it off when Emily came home. "You're getting better at it," she observed, catching the last traces of makeup as he patted his face dry. Colby froze, towel in hand. "I was just practicing, so you don't have to do it every morning." Emily approached, taking the towel and gently wiping a spot of foundation he'd missed near his hairline. "You don't have to explain. I think it's great that you're embracing the bet." "Not embracing, just adapting." Emily's knowing smile suggested she didn't quite believe him, but she didn't press the issue. That weekend, while out shopping, Emily paused outside a boutique that specialized in floral dresses and feminine accessories. "Let's go in here," she suggested, tugging Colby's hand. "Seriously? What would I do in there?" Emily looked at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "You might be surprised." Inside, Emily browsed through racks of sundresses, while Colby stood awkwardly near the entrance, trying to look as if he was just a patient husband waiting for his wife. But his eyes kept drifting to the clothes, the patterns, the cuts, the flowing fabrics so different from the stiff button-downs and slacks that filled his own closet. "What do you think of this one?" Emily held up a sundress with a delicate blue floral pattern against a white background. It had thin straps and a gently flared skirt that would hit just above the knee. Colby glanced around, ensuring no other customers were within earshot. "It's nice. Would look good on you." "Not for me." Emily's voice was soft but steady. "For you." The world seemed to pause for a moment. Just to try," she said. "At home. Nobody else would ever know." Colby wanted to object, to laugh it off, to remind her that wearing a bit of makeup for a lost bet was entirely different from wearing women's clothing. But the words wouldn't come. Instead, a very different feeling bubbled up. Curiosity, interest, maybe even a hint of excitement. "I'll buy it," Emily continued when he didn't respond. "If you hate it, we'll donate it. No pressure." That night, the dress hung on the outside of their closet door like a question mark. Colby tried to ignore it as they ate dinner, as they watched TV, as they prepared for bed, but his eyes kept returning to it, drawn by possibilities he'd never consciously considered. "Just try it on," Emily finally said as they were getting ready for bed.
"For me."
The fabric felt impossibly light in his hands. He disappeared into the bathroom, shedding his t-shirt and sweatpants. The dress slipped over his head with a whisper, settling around his frame. He smoothed it down, adjusting the straps on his shoulders. He looked in the mirror and felt a jolt of recognition, not of his usual self, but of someone else who had always existed somewhere beneath the surface. His blonde hair, though short, framed his face differently in this context. His shoulders, broader than a typical woman's but not massively so, didn't look as out of place as he'd feared. "Can I see?" Emily called through the door. Taking a deep breath, Colby opened the door. Emily's expression was worth any embarrassment he might have felt. Her eyes widened, and a genuine smile spread across her face. "Wow," she breathed. "You look beautiful." The word hit Colby like a physical force. Beautiful, not ridiculous, not funny. Beautiful. "It needs something," Emily said, studying him. She disappeared into the bedroom, returning with a delicate silver necklace that she fastened around his neck. There. Colby turned to look in the full-length mirror on the bathroom door. The necklace completed the transformation somehow, elevating the look from experimental to intentional. He turned slightly, watching how the skirt moved with him. "What are you thinking?" Emily asked softly. Colby struggled to put words to the riot of emotions coursing through him. I don't know. It feels right somehow, which makes no sense. Maybe it makes perfect sense, Emily suggested, meeting his eyes in the mirror. Maybe this is just another side of you. What would I even call this side? His voice was barely above a whisper. Emily considered for a moment. What name do you like? Names flitted through his mind. Feminine names he'd always found beautiful. Maybe Yasmin? The name had appeared in his consciousness without premeditation, yet as soon as it left his lips, it seemed to settle around him like a comfortable embrace. Emily smiled. Yasmin, it suits you. Colby, or was it Yasmin in this moment, felt a strange sense of relief wash over him, as if acknowledging this part of himself had released a pressure he hadn't realized was building.
This doesn't mean I don't know what this means,
he admitted. It doesn't have to mean anything specific, Emily assured him. It can just be exploration, discovery. That night, he slept in his normal clothes, but the memory of the dress, how it felt, how it looked, followed him into his dreams. The third week of the bet brought subtle shifts in Colby's daily routine. His morning makeup sessions with Emily became more collaborative. He would suggest certain techniques, and she would refine his application. His own makeup bag remained hidden, but he used it more frequently when alone. At work, a female colleague complimented his skin. Whatever skincare routine you've started, it's working, she said. You're glowing lately. He smiled and thanked her, feeling a secret thrill that the changes were noticeable enough to comment on, yet subtle enough not to raise suspicions. In the privacy of their home, Colby began spending more time as Yasmin. The blue floral sundress was joined by a casual burgundy dress Emily had picked up on a whim, and then a green skirt with a complimentary white blouse. Each new item felt like permission to explore further. Emily proved to be an enthusiastic supporter, offering suggestions and guidance without pushing. She showed him how to walk in a way that felt more natural in a dress, how to sit, how to carry himself with a different kind of confidence.
I never expected this,
Colby admitted one evening as they sat on the couch. He in the green skirt and white blouse, she in her usual jeans and t-shirt. When I lost that bet, I thought it would be a month of mild embarrassment. And that's it. Emily took his hand. Are you okay with where this has gone? We can stop any time. Colby, feeling more like Yasmin in that moment, shook his head. That's just it. I don't want to stop. I've never felt more, complete? Like I'm finally expressing something that's always been there. Then don't stop, Emily said simply. The next morning, as Emily applied his makeup for work, Colby made a request. Could you show me how to contour properly? I've been watching tutorials, but I can't quite get it right. Emily's eyes lit up. Absolutely. We'll need a contour palette, though. Yours or mine? The question hung in the air between them, an acknowledgement of his secret purchases. Mine's in my gym bag, Colby admitted. The shade matches my skin tone better. Emily's smile held no judgment, only warmth. Let's get it then. That weekend marked a turning point. Emily suggested they have a girls' day, just the two of them at home, with Colby fully dressed as Yasmin, practicing makeup, trying different outfits, watching fashion videos, and talking in a way they never had before. I've always wanted a girlfriend to do these things with, Emily confessed, as she demonstrated a winged eyeliner technique on Yasmin. A best friend who's also my partner, It's kind of the best of both worlds. Yasmin felt a surge of emotion. You're really okay with all this? More than okay. I love seeing you happy. I love meeting this side of you. Emily put down the eyeliner pencil. The question is, are you okay with it? I feel more myself as Yasmin sometimes than I ever did as just Colby, came the honest reply. Like I've been living in black and white, and suddenly there's color. Emily leaned forward and kissed her lightly. Then welcome to the world of color, Yasmin. As the 4th week of the bet began, the final week, according to the original terms, Yasmin found herself facing an unexpected dilemma. The bet would end, but the feelings, the sense of rightness she experienced in her feminine presentation, showed no signs of fading. What happens when the month is over? She asked Emily one evening as they prepared dinner together. Emily looked up from the vegetables she was chopping. What do you want to happen? I don't want to go back to being just Colby all the time, Yasmin admitted. But I don't know how to be both. At work, with friends, with your family. We take it at your pace, Emily assured her. Maybe Yasmin exists just at home for now. Or maybe she starts to venture out in small ways. There's no rule book for this. The conversation was put on hold as they finished cooking, but Yasmin's mind continued to work through the possibilities. The thought of completely returning to her pre-bet life felt increasingly impossible, like trying to force herself back into a too small container. That night, unable to sleep, she slipped out of bed and into the living room with her laptop. She began researching, reading forums and articles about gender identity, expression, and the spectrum of experiences people had. Some stories resonated deeply, others felt foreign to her experience. Emily found her there in the early morning hours, surrounded by the blue light of the screen. Hey, she said softly, settling beside Yasmin on the couch. Find anything helpful? Yasmin nodded. I think I might be somewhere on the transgender spectrum. Not in the way I always imagined it had to be, this dramatic before and after, but in my own way. She looked at Emily, vulnerability plain on her face. Is that okay? Emily took her hand, lacing their fingers together. Of course it's okay. This is your journey. I'm just grateful you're letting me be part of it. I don't think I could do it without you, Yasmin admitted. You could, Emily insisted, but you don't have to. In the days that followed, they developed a new routine. Mornings began with Colby getting ready for work, the makeup now a skilled application that enhanced without announcing itself. Evenings and weekends belonged increasingly to Yasmin, who was building a modest but growing wardrobe and developing her own feminine style. The final day of the bet arrived with little fanfare. As Emily applied the now familiar foundation to Colby's face, she asked, So, bet officially over tomorrow. What's the verdict? Colby smiled, a smile that contained Yasmin. I think we both won somehow. That evening, they celebrated with a special dinner at home. Yasmin wore a new dress, a deep blue that brought out her eyes and complemented her blonde hair, which she was considering letting grow longer. Her makeup was flawless, the result of hours of practice and Emily's patient teaching. To new beginnings, Emily proposed, raising her wine glass. To finding yourself in unexpected places, Yasmin added, clinking her glass against Emily's. After dinner, they moved to the couch, comfortable in the easy intimacy they'd developed. Emily ran her fingers through Yasmin's blonde hair, contemplating. You know, if you wanted to go out as Yasmin somewhere, We could start with places where nobody knows us, she suggested. No pressure, just an idea. Yasmin considered this. The thought was both terrifying and exhilarating. Maybe a restaurant in the next town over? Or a movie?
Whatever you're comfortable with. We'll go at your pace.
Yasmin leaned against Emily's shoulder, gratitude washing over her. How did I get so lucky to have you? I'm the lucky one, Emily insisted. Not everyone gets to fall in love with the same person twice. The words hung in the air, perfect in their simplicity and truth. What had begun as a silly bet had evolved into something profound, a journey of self-discovery that neither of them could have anticipated. So, what's next for us? Yasmin asked, not really expecting a definitive answer. Emily smiled. Life, on our terms, together. As the evening wrapped around them, Yasmin felt a sense of peace that had eluded her for most of her life. The foundation, mascara, and soft pink lipstick that had once seemed like a punishment had become the first brushstrokes of a masterpiece still in progress. Her authentic self, emerging day by day, with loving hands to guide the way. The bet was over, but Yasmin's story was just beginning. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, new moments of doubt and triumph. But tonight, in the warm embrace of acceptance and love, the future looked as bright and promising as the gleam in Emily's eyes when she looked at her. Not as Colby wearing makeup, not as Yasmin in a dress, but simply as the person she had always been meant to become.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!